but we need to check phone notifications here in just a second and make sure we're really, truly live, especially after Facebook's snafu yesterday. Who knows these days?
You know what they say
And what would that be? I think we are actually live. Again, imagine that. What do
when
they say?
when well when somebody says well, you know that's a deep subject.
It could be very deep, especially when you're talking about something, well, around here. Aren't I such a jokester? Okay, let's see. Wow, that
Well,
didn't take long. We're already at 30, almost 40 people watching
it looks
and
like
climbing.
Facebook and the Gremlins has not got it all worked out. They're lagging or delaying or maybe waiting on us to show up to Capitol Hill to testify.
Maybe,
Yes,
maybe so. All
yes, we
right,
had bad service.
yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and do our 2 minute countdown, folks. Y'all should know the drill if you're a frequent watcher. If you're new here, we're going to go to about a 2.5 minute countdown. That gives us time to share this live video out and all that. It gives you time to go get some popcorn, get a drink, phone a friend, tag a friend, and all that good stuff. We will be back in just a couple of minutes. Well, welcome back, Mr. Lowry. We have survived another countdown.
Good afternoon. Here we are. What is going on in your world?
Well, I've been playing actually kind of boat mechanic. Technically, well, sort of boat mechanic, more, a little bit of outboard mechanic this week, plus running around doing the tech thing. And, I thought the world was going to come to a complete end yesterday. Facebook was down.
Well, now you being a tech guy, I'm sure that your phone started buzzing off the hook like, oh my gosh, Facebook is down. What are we going to do?
I know, and of course I was right in the middle of doing some actual Facebook business stuff and I couldn't get in. I was like checking my computer, checking my network, and then I discovered, no, it's actually Facebook is down. So anyway, but we all made it and survived, and here we are again for another edition of Bossier Watch.
Well, I think that considering the circumstances, since we had this high drama in the social media world yesterday that it'd be a good opportunity. I mean, we don't want to lose folks. I mean, and we're not solely dependent on Facebook. Maybe we need to kind of tell people, you know, hey, if they want to get the word, how they can do it, right?
Yeah, so, as a tech guy, rule number one, you're only as good as your last successful backup from which you can recover. And so that applies to us pretty simply. First, all the videos that we produce, we have a backup of every one of them stored locally and backed up as well too. So if something happened to Facebook, I could push the videos out to another platform. I mean, it takes some time, but relatively easy. So that's number one. But number two is we're also on some other platforms. All right, so we do have a YouTube channel. So folks, we would like to ask you, if you have a YouTube account or Gmail account or Google account or whatever, go over to YouTube, just search for Bossier Watch, or you can go to bossierwatch.org, O-R-G, and click on YouTube. It'll take you to the channel as well. And go ahead and subscribe to the Bossier Watch channel over there. And while you're at it, look up Louisiana Watch and subscribe to that. We actually are live simultaneously to Facebook and YouTube when we do this, by the way. So those of you that like YouTube, more than welcome to go over there too. We're also going to do a newsletter, so we have a newsletter button on the website in the menu. So if you go there and click, you can sign up for that. Now that does, let us capture your email address and name. We're not going to spam you. We're certainly not selling anybody's information. But if something happens like, Facebook yesterday, if they did it on a day we were going to do a show, we need to be able to reach out and let folks know, hey, we're going to have the show over here. All right. Of course, you can do bossierwatch at gmail.com or bossierwatch at protonmail.com and always reach us that way. We're also on Twitter at bossierwatch. We don't have a TikTok account yet, but I'll probably set one of those up too. I've got Signal, I've got WhatsApp, which of course is owned by Facebook and was down yesterday. Signal is much more secure than Telegram. I've got a Telegram account too. We may set up a group for that and for Bossier Watch and Telegram. Just remember that Telegram is not an end-to-end encrypted system, no matter what they advertise and promote. It's truly not. So anyway, in other words, we have plenty of platforms to go to. Main thing is always pay attention to bossierwatch.org if in doubt, or shoot us an email.
That will always work. So, all right, what's this business about Telegram was started by the Russians? I mean, is this another Donald Trump conspiracy? Was he colluding with the Russians to start Telegram?
I don't know. I just know that the two guys that started it are from St. Petersburg. Now, I think it's now their offices are out of Dubai. And so Telegram's, I hadn't fooled with it much. It's a pretty cool app, and they say end-to-end encryption, but that's only if you're doing a direct chat secret message, kind of like Facebook Messenger. You can do a secret message, which is end-to-end encrypted. Not even Facebook can read it. But Telegram, the group stuff and all that, it goes to their servers because it's a completely cloud based application. So it goes to their servers. They have to decrypt it to move it out to the other devices. Versus like Signal is end-to-end encryption. All right, which means Signal can't even read what's going on. And to WhatsApp's credit and Facebook's credit, WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted by default as well. I just trust Signal a little more than WhatsApp. So anyway, and we try to pay attention to any other platforms that are out there, and if there are new platforms that come on board, Rumble, we might push some videos out to that, some other things. We try to keep up with that. And Ashley's asking about an app. Right now, we're probably not going to design an app. It's easier to use everybody else's apps and just push the video to them.
Amen to that. Woo.
Okay.
So, did you see that we got a plug?
Are you talking about the Bossier Now plug? Yes, I did.
Yes.
So we got to give Hal credit over there.
Yeah, we got a plug. I mean, and I think, he said, look, there's definitely two guys that could go fishing.
Yeah.
I think he kind of accurately described us, wouldn't you say?
I think he did pretty good, and of course I'm scrambling desperately here trying to pull that up at the moment. But yeah, so we would encourage y'all. Y'all have heard us, use Bossier Now as a source, along with some of the mainstream media, of course, too. But Bossier now does a pretty good job of covering the news, and they try to stay pretty objective. You know, like Duke and I always say, we're covering the news, but we're absolutely not trying to be completely objective. We are giving you kind of the inside baseball and other things to think about. And, you know, so we're not doing just straight up, you know, black and white print journalism here. Citizen journalism with our spin on it. But Bossier now tries to be much more objective. And so they did do an article on us over there. So if you get a few minutes, go over there and read it and follow their Facebook page as well.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And speaking, so what all are we going to talk about tonight?
Man, I have no idea, but let me try to pull up the graphics and kind of use that as a cheat deal.
It's kind of backwards because usually you hit me with that.
Right.
But, all right, I'll cover as usual if you want me to.
Yeah, so I've got the graphics popping up there now. We've got to talk about the resignation letter again. Now, we've already kind of covered the letter itself, but we've got a new development in that. And we've got some comments that have already been lighting up the Facebook page on our little scheduled event announcement over that resignation letter. We got to talk about King David over on the Bossier City Council. And it's been kind of quiet on the council, but apparently during today's meeting, King David decided he wanted to speak, tell everybody how the cow eats the cabbage again.
King David spoke, and the Zamboni brothers were active this week.
Yes. Yes, they were active. And we need to discuss this surveillance unit business because there's been a little discrepancy. Who was it that announced that in the news? Was it Chris Smith?
Yeah, I think he did an interview with one of the major media people, and we'll get to that in a little bit later. But yeah, we got to cover that because there was some interesting information getting into the crime statistics and things in Bossier. You know, because we've got some things going on in Bossier, some movement, and the people in Bossier need to know about it.
Well, let's get to it, and I'm sure we'll have some other stuff come up. And look, folks, the way this works, for those of you that are new, and we're at 160 folks right now, we really appreciate everybody watching. Feel free to comment on the way. We try to keep up with the comments, but when they're, pouring in and we're trying to talk and do all that, sometimes it's difficult. But we're very lax, in what we allow on the commentary. Just keep it relatively clean and relatively nice, but we do like pointed commentary. So comment away, and if we see something that looks pretty cool, just be aware we may put it up on the screen. Okay.
Yeah, by all means, please comment. I mean, we kind of feed off of you commenting. We want you to be a part of the show.
Yes, comments absolutely. I said our buzzword, but comments definitely help.
You did. You said the word. That's all right. But hey, so today there was a council meeting, and I had looked at the agenda ahead of time, and I really was like, okay, this is boring. There's not going to be anything of any significance come out of the Bossier City Council today. Nothing to include in our show. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, there were a few things of interest that caught my attention.
Yeah, there was. Well, like I said, the King David got up on his little throne there and kicked his feet a little bit. So let me go ahead and get that video queued up. Hold on just a second here, and then let me pause it. Okay, so I got our video queued up, and for those of you that don't know, the City Council streams their meetings live on YouTube, so you can go over to YouTube and pull this up. I've got the audio boosted in this. I actually do a little trickery there and boost the audio so we can hear it a little better. But looks like, where are we going? Like to about the 26:15 time frame or something like that?
Yeah, things kind of really kicked in at that point. You saw there was a bunch of officers that were in front. I mean, that was a pretty interesting thing there. It was a lot of the guys that went down, served during the hurricane thing, and they were recognizing all of them.
Yeah.
And kudos to those guys in the Bossier City Police Department. I mean, they always step up and always do a good job.
Yes, they do, and credit to them. All right, whoops, let me get back here a second. Hold on. Queuing this video sometimes is a little bit of a challenge. Okay, here we go. So I got this at the 26:05 mark. That's close enough. All right, so what are we listening to here?
Well, we come to a point in the council meeting when we're talking about some bonds, right? Some boring, wonky stuff that nobody really pays attention to or wants to talk about. unless it's a Cypress district and, bonds that, are not taxpayer approved. But who's talking about Cypress district? But this is Bossier City, right?
Right. Yeah. And
So
maybe we need to pay a little closer attention to the Bossier City bond issues, but that's a future deal. So anyway.
maybe so. So, as you and I were talking about, like before the show, there for the most part, bonds have to be, are supposed to be put before the public for a vote, right?
Correct.
And then you put it out there and you have people that facilitate the financing of that bond. And, so sometimes there's a time that comes that you refinance a bond, right?
Right. Similar
And
to
I think that's
refinancing a home or whatever it might be.
yeah, it makes good sense to do. Well, I think that's kind of what we're talking about here, but an interesting bit of dialogue, ensued here. And, the council president put the issue on the table and got a second and asked for any questions. Well, Chris Smith, to his credit, he asked kind of a simple question. Basically, he asked, well, I don't have to, let's play the video and let's show what he asked.
Yeah, let's do that. So, folks, it's going to be about 2.5 minutes or so. We may pause it as we're going, so bear with us because this is actually pretty interesting. Here we go. Fire in the hole.
Council? Questions from the audience? Please cast your vote.
Now, that was on the previous motion.
Motion carries.
Yeah, I think it's coming up
Introduce
right
an
now.
ordinance authorizing
here
the
we
city
go.
of Bossier City, state of Louisiana, to proceed with not to exceed $125 million financing through the Louisiana Local Governmental Facilities and Community Development Authority for the purpose of refunding certain bonds of the authority and providing for other matters in connection therewith. First reading.
So moved. Second. Any questions, council?
Yeah, I do, real quick. Excuse me. Do we, so I've gone back and looked in previous years, in the past, we haven't always gone through LCDA. Is that a requirement for doing these refunding bonds?
What do you mean we haven't?
So it based on other ordinances from in the past where I read, it looked like we went through another third party to do these refunding bonds. I'm just curious, and it looks like at some point we switched and have gone through the direction where we're going now.
All right, so I want to pause it right there for just a second and let everybody know the LCDA. I couldn't stand it. The LCDA.
You were reading my mind.
Yeah, the LCDA that Chris is talking about is the Louisiana Community Development Authority. And I've done a little bit of extensive reporting on that concerning the Cypress District. And let me keep it real simple. It's a legal entity developed by the legislature. But one of the things that it allows government entities, municipalities, the Cypress District, and other, I think even the police jury uses the LCDA, but they don't have to put certain bond issues up before the voters, even if it's required in the statutes. And that makes it interesting. And so basically the LCDA kind of, for lack of a better term, facilitates the process of the bonds and the bond commission and borrowing the money, all right, against those bonds.
And on a refinance of a bond, whether it was voted on by the citizens or not, they don't have to put that up in front of the citizens, at least according to what I understand.
I believe you are correct. Okay, so I'm going to continue this on, and folks, like I said, this gets a little more interesting here in just a second.
Yeah, I don't have an idea what time frame you're talking about. I mean, we've.
So I guess,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
LCDA is a branch of the government established, I believe it's a nonprofit, but.
Right.
And we utilize them to get better placement of our bonds in the market.
Okay, yeah, so that would,
Governmental consultants, which is Sean Toops and Charlie Sides with Stiefel and,
Yes, the Toops, Sean Toops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't say that?
Watch David, he gets aggravated. It's funny.
Oh, Anyway, and Kent Schnecksnyder with Sissong, we used them as our underwriters and
No.
municipal advisors to
Right.
tell us the best way to go about marketing these, and in this case, refunding as well.
All right, so I'm going to pause
Now-
it again.
Now, there's I got a couple of points here of observations, and most folks, they're probably just watching this and they're like, okay, this is boring stuff
Right.
and it's kind of wonky, whatever. But there's actually a couple of things that jump out right here. One, when the Councilman Smith asks his question, why did David Montgomery all of a sudden jump up and respond to the question? Why did the council president or chairman not try to?
Well, if I remember the decorum and the rules in several meetings back, remember, only supposed to be addressing the president. That was one of King David's edicts a while back. And, well, now he just instantly violates that because, well, he's King David.
Well, I mean, I'm just wondering. I mean, obviously, nobody else has an objection. Everybody understands the roles here, it would seem,
All right.
right?
Yeah, just kind of interesting.
The second thing, now, Zamboni Part 2 here, he acknowledges the name of a company.
Right.
He says Sissong.
Right.
Now, I've heard that name before. That's a familiar name, and I may be wrong, and we're going to have to do a little research, but if I recall a walk down memory lane, there was some association with that name, Sissong, and it may not be the same Sissongs. Maybe that's a popular family name. I don't know, but it seems like I recall that having something to do with some golf course investments. I don't know. I'm going to have to look back. I'm going to have to look back and clarify that to make sure.
Surely all these things aren't interconnected somehow. Surely not.
Grady Davis says point of order. Yeah, you're right, Grady. We may have went just a little too far there because I don't know for sure on that one. But boy, it sure strikes a nerve that I recall.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Yeah, so I guess my question really, I guess, boils down to, have we maybe shopped and,
No, we don't shop this. This is a
Whoa!
professional service.
Wait a minute. What?
Put the brakes on.
Hold up. Well, no, we don't shop. This is taxpayer dollars. We don't shop.
Yeah, we just
Heck
spend, they
no.
love OPM, other people's money. Just do what you want to with it.
Shopping? I mean, look here. We got 174 people. Who out there does not look for an item less expensive at one store than the other? I mean, do you automatically go to, well, I shouldn't say that. What's that old saying? Always at Sam, never at Walmart or whatever,
Right.
If it's $20 more at Sam's, do you buy it from Sam's because Walmart has it $20 less? No.
Exactly. And our was going to be the CAO, Shane Cheatham, is watching, and he's brought popcorn with him. Good job, Shane. Share the popcorn, man. Now, I do want to say that the LCDA, so I've forgotten when they were created, but it was basically around 1991, or 97, I'm sorry, sometime around there, in the 90s, by Act 813 of 1991. So if you want to look it up and be really wonky, it's revised statute 33:4548.1, if you want to learn more about the LCDA.
I'm just curious, of everybody watching, do y'all not shop around for the things that you need, to sustain yourself? Do you not shop around? Do you not look for the best pricing to get something done? Yeah, quality is a consideration, and I think Chris Smith even says that here in a moment. But I mean, who does not shop? Do you just go automatically buy the most expensive vehicle that you see? Or do you look for a better price on it? I mean, good grief.
Well, no shopping around the city council, by goodness, because King
Not
David.
in Bossier.
King David
Yeah,
has said
no.
so. All right, here we go. We'll play it for another few seconds or minute or so here.
right.
And we believe in these people. They've been with us, I believe, going back with the previous council to 07. Is that correct?
Wow.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
if you want to check the fees, their fees are all publicly disclosed, and you can go to the State Bond Commission and compare those fees charged to what the average fees are charged in the state of Louisiana.
Yes, sir. No, I'm just, certainly in my private business, I
Yeah.
understand that cheap
Do what?
You know what? I mean, he just said if you want to look it up, look it up.
Right.
You know, I mean, he seems pretty certain on that.
Well, what he
I
seems to be
think-
is very well versed on that subject. I mean, he was rattling off names off the top of his head. Didn't even have to glance at his paper.
I mean, I know he jumped right out here on top of this. The council president. I mean, we know he's the Don, but I mean, he didn't even hesitate. There's not even a point of order.
I know.
But-
I hate to say, Don and Tommy were probably sitting over in the corner, you know, twiddling their thumbs. I'll be nice to you, Tommy.
Yeah. So I guess that we probably have some homework to do because I think we probably ought to check the numbers.
I think so. Yeah, we need to dig into it a little bit. I've done the Cypress District stuff, and was able to pull all those records, and you know, had no problem getting them through the public information request. But we need to take a look at it on the city side.
What did Ronald Reagan say? Account and verify.
Yeah, pretty close to it. Okay, so let's listen to the end of this. Here we go.
And always the best service. You have to find quality people. I was just curious, since we have been using this company since roughly 2007, if we've at least looked to see if there's another company that could at least offer the same benefits. Maybe we could save a little bit more money. Maybe we can't. Just, you know, thinking
Well,
out
that
loud.
certainly is the privy to the council. If, you know, if the majority of the council wants that, I would highly recommend against that, and I would yield to the city attorney. We've used our
Zamboni brothers.
lawyers. Which firm?
Foley and Udell.
Forever, but I'm talking about in regular legal matters.
Correct.
Cook Yancey, I believe.
We have Wiener Wise that represents the city for general liability claims.
Yeah, in different firms, and once a professional service has proven themselves, then the law allows you
Right.
to continue those services.
Yeah. And I'm going to vote in favor of this. I was just, you know, for the future, I was wondering if we could look at making sure that we're realizing all the savings that are out there, because I just want
What
to
do
make
you
sure.
mean by all the savings?
So
Just if they're
once they've proven themselves,
That's it.
you don't
they're
have
in.
to look. You don't have to look for a cheaper rate. I
Right.
mean, what do you have to do to prove yourself?
You have to
Is
bow
it-
down and kiss the ring.
Is it providing the service for the most economical, or is it, you know, what?
What's that?
What
What,
do you-
are those three letters we like to say all the time? GOB.
I
Just
mean, I
saying.
just want to know what's is there a secret handshake? What is it?
I'm sure it is a secret handshake that involves some green, but you know, who knows for sure? There's no telling.
Okay.
Maybe it's a secret handshake to make sure that they're just so altruistic. You know what? I'm just going to throw this out there. So I had a former politician conversing with me the other day, not too long ago, who is absolutely on David Montgomery's side and basically, you know, follows his coattails around, that told me that David is just doing this. He's been on the city council now for, I don't know, what, 2 decades or whatever, only because he is just strictly looking out for the city. But David doesn't need any power or influence from this. He has all the money in the world anyway, and he's just doing this because, well, he's a nice guy. So I wanted to give David a little credit tonight as we're doing this.
Maybe he is. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the pay of a councilman is so high that that's the value of doing it. I don't know.
Maybe so. Okay. Was there any more in this exchange? Let me hit play again for a few more seconds here.
a professional service that could give us the same quality that we're getting currently. And
Why would you want to risk that if they're doing an excellent job right now?
oh, I mean, I wouldn't want to risk it. I would just
Okay.
want to see, you know, what another service has to offer. You know, just because something has worked flawlessly doesn't mean that there's not, you know, a better alternative sometimes. And so I was just wanting us to see if we could think outside the box going forward to make sure that we're.
Oh no, can't
saving
think
as much
outside of
money as we
David's
can.
box. It's
From
the
a
way
fee
it is.
standpoint,
Yes, sir.
well, again, you can go to the State Bond Commission look at what we're being charged versus the average being charged in the state of Louisiana.
Yes, sir. That's it.
Now he clarified that right there. Did you catch that?
Yeah, and I got to say, Chris was being so polite, saying yes, sir. There's no way I would have done that. But anyway,
Well, I mean, he clarified that, and he said from a fee standpoint. That's
well,
interesting. He would make a clarification from a fee standpoint.
right. There's a lot more to it than just the fees, and the lawyers are making a pretty good penny off of all that have to put all this stuff together and structure it. And it also depends on the interest rate and the bank that's going to finance it and who's going to be the trustee. And I forget if they have a trustee fee or a certain percentage of the deal goes to the trustee to actually disperse the funds and all that.
So wait a minute, from a fee standpoint, so are you talking about like going through the government agency that's funded by taxpayer dollars that, there's no way you could get better? I mean, in comparison, well, yeah, you're using taxpayer dollars to fund a government agency. Yeah, well, how could a private business have a fee structure that would be less? Am I making sense there?
Well, it's convoluted, and it's basically a shell game to move our tax dollars around. And again, lawyers and other people involved end up pocketing the money. And again, I want to go back to my point. I'm not saying that's the case in this particular bond, but one of the reasons that governments do it or use the LCDA is if it's required to go in front of the as a ballot initiative in front of the voters, they don't have to when they go through the LCDA because they're technically borrowing the money. I mean, when I called down there for the to research the Cypress District stuff, the lady that I talked to knew immediately the statute that I was going to ask her about. She just rattled it off the top of her head. So anyway, all right. We've got some comments here. Pat Barnes Sr. says, why do I get the feeling that the politics in the Bossier City Council, with the exception of newly appointed council members, is a lot like politics in Washington, D.C. It pretty much is, just on a smaller scale. Let's see. Let's do another comment here.
It's been that way for a long time. It's just that people are just now really kind of paying attention to it locally.
Exactly. Tony Thornton says it's good business practice to see if someone can offer something at a better price. It's worth looking into at least. But to flat say we don't do that is crazy. It's taxpayers' money. Well, no, Tony, you're wrong. It's other people's money that the city council gets to do with as they wish. But yeah, I get your point. Grady Davis, this is a great comment. I just hope that money isn't going to Zamboni drivers that can no longer practice. Good point there, Grady. I need to look up those line items in the budget for Zambonis. All right. Okay, so moving on. What else happened in this meeting, or what other perspectives?
I would be remiss if I went back and said that, there wasn't something in David's quotes there, when he was talking about, he quoted Cook Yancey King, and then the city attorney, or Zamboni Part 2 said Winter, Weiss, and Madison, because if it's my recollection is correctly, kind of from reading between the tea leaves, that kind of the city got Cook Yancey King was kind of on the end. And then things kind of started switching over to Winnie Weiss Madison. Mm-hmm. And, why did they kind of start moving away? Was it because they were getting a better deal with Winnie Weiss Madison?
No telling, mate. You
David,
can get now, the AG's office, remember from our Cypress stuff, the AG's office does have and I'm probably phrasing this wrong, but a maximum hourly rate that lawyers can charge, or firms can charge, to government entities. At least with special districts, I can say that with certainty. I would guess that's probably the case with city councils, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Shane Cheatham's got a good comment. Go ahead, and I'll put Shane's comment up here.
Well, if that's the case, I would sure like to know some of the numbers regarding the Walker Place stuff.
I almost spit my tea out. $50 million worth of tea.
Well, whoa! Good grief!
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right. So Shane says earlier in the meeting he continued a vote to shop Thrifty liquor contract but we don't shop around. Interesting point. And Shane, we had heard that as well, and I couldn't find that point in the meeting, but looks like there's a little bit of a, I don't know, being hypocritical, a little irony going there. English people, what's the correct term? Would it be hypocritical or ironic, or both? That we don't shop around for the LCDA and a bunch of lawyers that can move money around and do different things with it, but, you know, maybe we do if it's other things that are low on the totem pole.
That's an interesting perspective. You know, I mean, maybe you should look for the cheapest liquor, you know?
Maybe so. I'm not going to comment on that. That'll be used against us.
Maybe you should look for the cheapest liquor. I mean,
okay, so
we're not having a quality thing. So Boone's Farm, I guess, is out.
Strawberry Hill. All right, Colt 45.
There was another significant thing in this meeting, and you and I have railed about this. So, like Rex. So, like all these boards, committees, commissions, and appointments to stuff. I mean, who gets? I mean, do you ever see those publicized anywhere?
I hadn't. I mean, I have looked some, but not for all of them. But yeah.
Remember us talking about that? How the police jury and, you know, all these different entities, there's these appointments to the levy board, to the Cypress district, you know, and well, guess what? And mostly we vented on the police jury about, you know, not publicizing that there will be or there is a vacancy on a board, because you can't tell me that, like, there's 200 and something people watching right now. And of those 200 and something people that are watching, you can't tell me there's not one person that would be interested or willing to, you know, serve in a capacity on a board, or has an interest or an aspiration to be involved and to do something. But nothing ever, you know, seems to be out there or available or just pops up that, you know, they can kind of look at it, think about it, and consider putting their name in the hat. There's never any notification, right?
Well, I think they do the minimum legal notification that they have to do, but they certainly don't publicize it. One of the complaints, again, circling back to the Cypress district, is, well, yeah, but nobody else comes up to be on the board, and so we just have to appoint who's there, and that's how we get stuck with them. Well, maybe part of the reason is because not very many people know when those appointments happen, and they're going to be at a meeting. Chris Smith, if you're listening to this show, we need to make sure and figure out a way to get these appointments and committees and all this well publicized ahead of time. You do a good job on your social media for South Bossier and all that.
No.
We need to include that.
Why are you picking on Chris Smith?
Why not?
You got Jeff Free. You've got
Jeff's my city councilman.
I mean, you're fixing to have a new councilman down there for South Bossier. I mean, why don't one of you guys step up there and say, you know what, I think it would be a good idea that we try to seek input from as many people as possible by advertising these positions, you know, to see that we maybe get more inclusion of the community in these things. Why not? Or is this a debate? Is this a debate about, you know, oh, we need to have the meetings after 6 o'clock or not, or no, we can't do that? Is that how this thing's going to go?
There's no telling with the majority of this council. All right, so I've got us queued up to the 38, whatever it is, mark here. Do we want to run this real quick with the appointment of Pastor Reed?
We can, and I'm going to preface this and go ahead right out of the gate. I mean, we really ain't got to show a lot of that, but, right. You know, what we're alluding to is there was an appointment to the Housing and Urban Development, you know, board or what have you. And Pastor Reed, you know, from Stonewall Baptist Church, who is a fine fella, our discussion on this has absolutely zero to do with him. In fact, if his name was put up with a bunch of names, he's probably a name that I would have been in favor of putting up there. I mean, got no problem with that whatsoever, but it's the overall from all of our government bodies not putting these positions up for the public to consider, you know, to throw their name in the hat. That's my rub with it.
Well, and yeah, we'll play a few seconds of it. Lee Jeter says, outstanding point with these boards. Thank you, sir, for the comment. We appreciate it.
Look, I think Pastor Reed, especially, and I'm going to say that since Lee Jeter popped in, being a minority, it's way past due that we have a minority on some of these boards.
I agree
I mean,
100%.
kudos to Mayor Chandler in this appointment. I mean, it was a good pick, but I'm just saying, I would like for it to be put out there for everybody, for everybody to have a consideration.
Oh, fair point. All right, so I'm going to hit play and we'll watch it for a few seconds, then we'll move on.
Motion carries. Approve appointment of Ulysses Buddy Reed Jr. to replace Tommy Chandler as the Commissioner on the Board of Commissioners for the Housing Authority of the City of Bossier City. Appointment effective October 5th, 2021, and expires July 8th, 2025.
So move.
Second.
Any questions from the council? Any questions from the audience?
Mr. President, the Pastor Reed is here if he wanted to come up, and we appreciate the mayor for placing him on this board.
Pastor Reed, you'd like to come up and say anything? And thank Mr. Chandler for his service in the past. How many years you been on that thing now?
It's been over 5, 6, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe longer. Time goes on, it could be 10.
We'll give him
I
a
don't
few
know. It's been a
seconds
long
to
time.
Yeah, he been that long.
So I do want to thank Mayor Chandler for the opportunity of having to serve, particularly following in your footsteps. So we look forward to it, and we just hope and pray that we can be of great service in these coming years.
All right, so I'm gonna pause it right there, and I agree with you. Nothing wrong with the appointment at all, but I agree it does need to be advertised a little more.
Okay, I'm just curious. I think there's a black van at the end of my street. Can you hear my guard dog?
Well, I was gonna ask, are they out there trying to clip your line down at the end of the driveway again and cut you off?
I haven't heard the tripwire go off yet, so
No explosions yet?
they're probably trying to see how they're going to bypass it. But the
Right.
guard dog sees them; he's on it, so they got to get through him before they get to me.
Okay,
But-
what is?
Hey, hey, I was getting there. Did you hear about Billy Montgomery?
Yes, isn't he retiring or some kind of retirement party or something going on?
I have it on good authority that he is in fact retiring. I mean,
Oh.
a lot of folks know. I know him as coach. A lot of people know him as Representative Montgomery, and a lot of other things, whatever. But I know him as coach. He was actually when I graduated high school. He was actually while I was in high school, he was one of my principals. Let me say it that way.
Right.
And I always liked Coach. I did.
Yeah.
I really did. I always liked Coach. And he knew his way around the legislature, and he knew his way around Benton too.
Good. All right.
But again, it begs the question: when his vacancy occurs, I wonder if there will be an advertisement for that job position, or will the police jury just appoint somebody?
They'll probably just appoint somebody, and that police jury. Now, I think we were looking for the picture earlier, but weren't we sent a picture of him napping on the job, literally in the office chair?
I don't think we were sent a picture of that occurrence
Okay.
just once. I think we were sent that picture multiple times.
Okay.
And I don't know, did you ever find it?
No, I haven't found it yet. I'm going to try to dig for it here in a few minutes and see if we can find it by the end of the show. So we'll see. But okay, next topic.
Well, so I don't know if you heard this in that council meeting as well. It was an interesting thing, and this is going to make a lot of people mad. I mean, I hope we don't send 200 people with pitchforks to Baton Rouge over this, but and I kind of don't know all the details of it, but apparently not a lot of people do. But David Montgomery brought up an issue. Apparently it's the CenturyLink, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the CenturyLink Center anymore.
Yeah,
it's
it's the
now the
Brookshire's Grocery Arena or whatever.
Brookshire's Grocery Arena, right? So if you're coming to town and you're going to go to an event at the Brookshire's Grocery Arena and you pull in and you see these signs that said CenturyLink Center, I mean, well, like, you ain't never going to get there, right?
Right.
So you got to change the signs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm assuming prior to changing the signs, you got to get the approval of DOTD. Well, as it would turn out, David,
Okay.
this discussion comes up today at the council meeting about changing the signs out. Well, David Montgomery raises the issue and says, well, he realizes or understands that DOTD and is requiring insurance and bonding to change the signs. And oh, by the way, the insurance has got to be like all the time on the signs if you're going to put the Berkshire's Arena signs up.
Really?
I kid you not. Now, everybody else, I mean, I know I was reading, I mean, I just, for whatever it's worth, I was reading the faces and everybody looked like they didn't know what the heck he was talking about. It seemed like David Montgomery was the only guy in the room that knew anything about this. Now, he did clarify that he wasn't writing insurance or doing anything. I don't know why he felt the urge to point that out, but he did. But how asinine is it that if you're going to change signs within your city limits, you know, from the CenturyLink to the Berkshire's Arena, that you've got to insure the signs and get bonding to do it before you can do it.
Well, that's government at its finest.
What is DOTD thinking? I don't get it.
I don't either, but there's no telling with them. Look, I just wish they would hurry up and get started doing their part on the I-20 stuff. Because if I remember right, that's a combination of federal money and state money. Anyway,
Now,
and they can finish the bridge up there, you know, by your house before too long.
now, Chris Smith, I don't know if you saw it, but he did an interview on KSLA last week. Did you get to see that?
No, I did not.
I mean, I got to tell you, he was on fire last week, this week. You know, don't follow him all the time, but these things caught my attention. And a lot of people were talking about it. Robert and Aaron were talking about, you know, crime statistics and things like that. And I don't know if you realized it, but violent crime in Bossier City had increased, according to the FBI. I take that for what it's worth.
Right. Well, we got to use somebody as a bellwether for the numbers, and typically it's going to be the FBI.
Yeah. So he's doing this interview, right? And so he's talking about the crime stats and all that, and he's talking about kind of what's going on in Bossier City. And he talks about, you know, there being this surveillance unit. I mean, have you heard that?
Surveillance unit. Now, yeah, we put that in one of the topics in the teaser for the show, but what kind of surveillance units? These like guys in ninja suits popping out, or is this like, you know, break down your door in the middle of the night unannounced, you know, jump guys?
Well, I got to tell you, when I first heard this, that the thing that jumped out at me, you know what I was thinking about? Them cameras everywhere. You know, them glowing cameras that, what is that movie with the aliens that were the machines, you know, that would swoop down
Terminator and all that,
stuff?
yeah.
I'm thinking something like, you know, some cameras that we see at every intersection around town, you know, that's the surveillance they're talking about. But apparently I don't know, you know, something to do with some surveillance thing. You know, that kind of caught my attention. And you and I have been hearing some rumors about some things going on in Bossier City Police Department, right?
Right, yeah, and as a matter of fact, here is the quote from Chris Smith. I'm kind of highlighting it here. He said, and quoting from KSLA, "We have created a surveillance unit." He said that's one of the first things Substitute Chief did once he had the patrol. They're actively out to solve armed robberies and things like that. Ooh, pre-crime. With a mix of Mission Impossible Halo jumps from Tom Cruise. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I would say to Chris, he might ought to check who the insurance carrier is with the plane before he loads up.
Right.
But just saying. So, you know, getting that little bit of information, you know, you and I have been getting a few tidbits here and there about, you know, just some things going on around Bossier and the police. And we've had a lot of things happening since, you know, the new mayor and all with the police department. So you and I sought to do a little bit of I don't know. Is this what journalists do? We sought to dig a little bit
Investigative
of it.
citizen journalism.
Yeah,
That sounds
what I was
official.
that was what I was looking for.
Right.
So we shot off a couple of requests to, Zamboni. I don't know if it's ones or number one or number two, but Zamboni driver one,
Mm-hmm.
and that responded back, and we got a little bit of information. So
Mm-hmm.
the first thing we asked was about staffing levels. Kind
Mm-hmm.
of, we wanted to see where the staffing levels of the police department were in comparison to, say, uh, initially when Chief Estes started and currently. And I think in cut 1, 2, and 3, which is a snapshot kind of where, the adjustments to the staffing that took place
Mm-hmm.
and from where it was to where it is now.
All right, let me pull that up right quick. Okay. Well, that's a pretty color
So
chart.
yeah, and that is similar to like when I was on the fire department. We had a similar chart,
Mm-hmm.
and the things to the right. We blurred out the names of the officers. That's not anybody's business. Um, but the specific training, the letters to the right denote individuals with specific skill sets. Anyway, so you can see right here, July 4th, 2021, and you can see the staffing levels on shift A, B, and C. You can see we're hovering around the 15, 16 range,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think A and C, you see a maximum of 16, and this is patrol. And then we'll jump to cut 2.
All
So
right.
that was in July 4th.
Let's get cut 2 coming over here. So let me get rid of this one and let's bring up cut 2. All right.
So you saw, I mean, and this isn't even considering, hurricane and people having to go out of town, vacations, or any of those things. But as you can see here, a little bit July 25th, you see a little bit of adjustment on A shift. You
Mm-hmm.
see 17 now on a patrol, 17 on B shift on patrol, and we're still at 16 on C shift. So let's jump to the August 8th.
All right. And folks, just so you know, we will be getting to First Church here in just a few minutes. Okay, August 8th.
And as you can see here, staffing jumped. A shift looks like 19 on patrol, looks like B shift 19 on patrol, and looks like 17 on C shift.
Mm-hmm.
Now, folks may be watching and saying, well, that's not that big of a number. That's not that many more people, jumping from 15 to 16 to, 18 to 19 or 17 to 19. But I got to tell you, having been somebody that's rode around in a Bossier City patrol car, I can tell you having 2, even 3 more patrol cars that are out there working, it is a level of safety to every one of these guys that are out there working. I mean, that is pretty significant. And
Right.
at the end of the day, when you make a phone call and you need help, I mean, that's a difference. That might make the difference in you having somebody able to respond and not having somebody able to respond.
True. Do we happen to know what the average response time of Bossier City is? We hadn't asked for that yet, have we?
I hadn't asked for that, but
I think it's been in the past when I looked into it years ago. I think it's far better than the national average. So anyway, okay.
You and I were talking about this, and it kind of raised another question. You asked me, you was like, well, when was Chief Estes actually appointed to the position? And I was like, well, that's a good question too. I really don't know exactly when he was appointed to the position. And well, okay, we'll just ask. We'll shoot off another question to Zamboni Part 2, and we'll see when was he appointed. So we asked for that, and we actually got every, as you know, the mayor or the council doesn't have to approve the appointments that the mayor makes to police chief or fire chief, emergency services, but he does have to advise them. So we actually got the emails or the letters of notification from the mayor to the council. And
Mm-hmm.
as you can see right there, that was the first one, July 6th.
Right.
And the
He's been
interesting
put on,
thing,
well, he's been, says Chief Shane McWilliams has been placed on paid administrative leave pending an internal affairs investigation.
that's right. That's right. So we knew that.
Right. And he
So
appointed Sergeant Chris Estes as substitute chief of police pending the outcome of the internal investigation.
so jump forward to the next one.
All right, let's drag that one in there. Here we go. All right, let me zoom it in a little bit. Let's see attached letter to the mayor.
Now, if people are wondering, like, if I remember correctly, it's only like good for the appointments are only good for like 30 days. So long as there's an incumbent in the position, I mean, they can only appoint a substitute for, I think it's 30 days. It's a civil service thing. But you've got the council, you got the city attorney, you got everybody on here. And then you see here on this one, August the 5th,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Estes reappointed as
As
substitute chief.
Right. Again, pending the outcome of the internal investigation. All right, and so let's bring up cut 6 here. Okay, here we go. Let me get over there to page 2 and let's zoom this in. Okay, August 30th. From
Now,
Tommy Chandler.
do you see anything different about this letter?
Well, let me read this. It says, I have reappointed Sergeant Chris Estes as substitute chief of police pending the outcome of the criminal investigation. It was an internal. Now it's a criminal investigation of
Now,
former police chief Shane McWilliams? And
no,
it's being conducted by an outside agency.
it was an internal affairs investigation. Then it was an internal investigation. And now on August 30th, it's a criminal investigation.
I haven't seen this in the news yet. Not that I remember. Anybody watching, we got still at 190 people watching. Has anybody seen this in the news? This is interesting.
I've not heard nor seen that anywhere. It caught my attention when I seen these. That I hate to say it, that's what jumped out at me, but that is what jumped out at me.
Right.
And it begs the question, what is this about? And I really don't know, but obviously there is a progression in this situation or whatever is going on regarding this.
Well, and look, this isn't trying to slam Shane McWilliams at all because, again, it's an investigation, or whatever, but this is definitely an interesting change of events. I wonder if this has been mentioned at the city council meetings. Granted, I hadn't paid attention to the last few of them very closely.
I don't know, and there's one other since August the 30th. There's most recently, we just turned the page on October, and we've got another one here in cut 7, and it says the same thing, the criminal investigation.
Yeah,
so
let me pull that up. Yeah, because I saw where these emails had come in and all that information, and I knew you were kind of looking into it, so I hadn't paid close attention to it. Yeah,
well,
September 29th. Yeah.
That wasn't what I was looking for,
Right.
Specifically, but that came along with the territory. And sometimes reading the fine print is sometimes the story.
Yeah, so again, this is virtually the same letter from September 29, says I've reappointed Sergeant Chris Estes as substitute police chief pending the outcome of the criminal investigation. The only thing he left off there was from an outside agency.
Pat Barnes says, sorry to sound ignorant, but what was McWilliams charged with? And Pat, well, we don't know. We weren't looking at this. We were looking at something else. We were actually trying to figure out exactly, what the timeline was for Chief Estes' appointment, and we gleaned this information by virtue of that.
Yeah, this is, folks, this is news to us, and we literally just got this information not long ago, so we haven't had time to dig into that. So, yeah, very interesting, and definitely will be the topic of an upcoming show for sure. See what's going on. Do we have any kind of suspicion what it might have been or anything?
I have no clue. You know, I know I actually passed him on the road. It was the other day in a city vehicle. So he's still around. You know, I don't know.
Right.
No
Okay.
idea.
All right. Well, that's certainly interesting and slightly breaking news. Imagine that, citizen journalist, citizen pundit sitting here actually doing a little bit of local breaking news.
We get lucky every now and then, right?
Yeah, every now and then. Okay. So, other than the former police chief being under some sort of criminal investigation, what else do we have on our agenda? I know we have First Church, so it is coming up, folks. Matter of fact, I think it's next on the list, right?
Well, I think that's what we got up and coming on the First Church. You know, so if y'all want to tag your friends, if some of you are like waiting in the wings for us to talk about First Church, I mean, we're there. We're fixing to talk about it. You know, I would say that I got to tell you, the Bossier City Police Chief job has over the years has not been a job that was kind to the people who held that position. I man, I don't know. I don't know that that's a job I would ever want. Um, I got to tell you, somebody. I mean, I went through reserve training and I got my commission. Went through, you know, was post certified and all, and rode out a lot. And I got to tell you, man, it takes a special person to be a officer this day and time, and it's been getting worse. Uh, the city of Bossier should just really be thankful for the officers that they got. I mean, I got to tell you, because it the pay sucks, and you know when you're always going to somebody and they're not happy to see you. It seems like
Well, and I
ever.
want to throw this out there too. You know, it's easy to slam Shreveport, and yes, Bossier's numbers have gone up in the violent crime. They have actually nationwide, which is a little unusual because they've been going down for the last 30 years for the most part. But I'll say this, when you look at the murder rate per capita in Shreveport versus Bossier, because you and I were talking about this, they're at about 6 to 8 times our rate in Shreveport right now, just so you know, on murder rate. Now, we've got some other areas over here that unfortunately we're ahead of Shreveport on, but their murder rate is through the roof per capita. So, all right, let's get into First Church stuff. Let me see here.
I have still, since we went live, I've been getting messages about First Church.
You would think a bunch of people were interested in seeing further. They're probably asleep at the keyboards right now because they've been waiting patiently. And look, I want to say again, I try to, you know, make this comment pretty much every time we bring this topic up, that, you know, we're not here trying to break apart or destroy a church whatsoever. We're pointing out things that are going on that have been brought to our attention, and they have relevance to even people that are non-members of First Church because of the political angle. And so that's the main reason for pointing a lot of this out. But I want to lead off. So I've got our Twitter account going. I've put, I think, all of one tweet on it just to announce the show tonight. But we're going to start tweeting a little bit more as well. But I want to pull this one up. It says, "Is it true Jarkovich is now trying to squeeze Bossier for money in exchange for his resignation?" That sounds familiar. What happened to "I'm staying until Jesus comes back"? That's the comment out of the missing message that we have posted. Oh wait, you mean Benjamin. "I'm staying until Benjamin and about 3,000 of his twins comes back." Now, we've heard some whispers that there was supposed to be some sort of, and again, this is just completely unsubstantiated, except for this tweet and other people bringing this to our attention, that supposedly there's going to be a buyout offer made to Brad. Now, We don't know if there has been or not, and not even sure if that's true or even on the table. Can anybody verify that or not?
Yeah, we had got that message during the week, or actually, it was after not this week, the previous week. I mean, I think maybe like Wednesday we had got that message or something
Yeah,
that was the
something like
case.
that. Right. So,
Yeah.
okay, let me get over here to the cuts and let's bring up the cuts here on, let me find that one. Here we go. All right. So this is going to be a little tough to read, but I'll try to zoom it up as best that I can, folks. So let's get that out of the way. Let's bring this over. So we were sent this email, or copy of an email. Actually, it's a screenshot. So unfortunately, we don't have all of the signatures. As a matter of fact, we don't have any of the signatures on the letter. But according to this email, this was sent to Pastor Brad, it says, please see attached 161 signatures requesting your resignation as the pastor of First Bossier. This document can also be viewed or downloaded from the following link. We do not have a copy of that link. It was grayed out in this screenshot. But if anybody's got a copy of it and you want to share it out, there's always sending an email to Bossier Watch at Proton Mail. And if you want to be completely anonymous, make your own Proton Mail account. Don't put any identifying information in. And we'll be glad to review it. Doesn't mean that we'll necessarily put it up there. Okay. Give the dog a treat.
Yeah. If I give that dog a treat, he'll run down the beach and I'll never catch him. Y'all will see me running up and down the beach all night. So
I'll have to
now
get the
y'all will
sheriff's
probably
department and
find,
the thermal drone out.
yeah, y'all will probably enjoy that entertainment, but not so much for me.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently, and this is, I just want to throw this out there and ask viewers who are current members of First Church, for anybody that was at service Sunday, any mention of this, anybody else can substantiate or, that's not the right word, but anyway, this letter, I mean, the email was sent, there's no doubt about it, but we've also heard, and there's been quite a bit of commentary so far on our Facebook page in the 7 o'clock event listing that I posted. There's a Wade Thomas, who has no picture with his profile, but whatever. That apparently is pro Brad, and that's fine too. But Wade Thomas claims that there were people on this list that were not members of First Bossier, just, average everyday citizens. So anybody that might be familiar with this letter care to confirm or deny any of these tidbits about this before Duke's dog goes crazy? That's got to be Brad coming down the driveway now.
Brad, David, I mean, good gracious. I mean,
Validate. Yes, Kaylee, thank you. Validate. Sorry.
How many vans could be pulling in my driveway?
Yeah. Eric says, Eric Hamilton says there's a guest slot, a number 2 slot open, put he or she on the show. And so Eric's referring to the little deal below Duke. That is reserved for guests. And look, Brad, we've said it before, you are welcome to come on the show. We've even played the missing message to give your side of things, since, y'all had somehow lost that video, and we were glad that we were at least able to recover the audio and help y'all out. So you're more than welcome to come on the show, or anybody that's a current member of First Church. Okay.
Well, I'm sorry. I muted myself in the attempt to not beat everybody over the head with my guard dog. So we may on live TV get me off right here.
Yeah, and so Tracy, I see your comment there. Validation that there were 161 signatures on the letter that was sent in this email that was sent to us. And whether or not those signatures were current First Bossier members, were they folks that go to other churches, maybe a few more details. We've all seen the letter before, and we've shown it before, so I'm not going to worry about putting the whole letter up again, and it's posted on our Facebook page as well. And now, let me say this. Wade, I just said that you're the one that said people outside the church are on the list. We need some more validation from that, because I generally don't trust Facebook profiles that don't have a picture and only have about 11 friends. but I'm willing to allow it for now. Okay, sorry, dude.
Yeah, so, the Sunday meeting, from what I understand, some people, we had got some messages and they said that, this was apparently this past Sunday, Brad's 8-year anniversary. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
And he got some flowers and a bonus, is what I understand.
Oh,
And
so maybe it wasn't a buyout. Maybe it was just a bonus.
this dog, I got to tell you, he's losing his mind. He's like, stop talking about First Church. Stop talking about First. Anyway. So, anyway, so it was also reported to us that, somebody was taking a lot of pictures during the service.
Okay.
And, one of the people who ran for Republican State Central Committee that's on staff, Lorraine Spratt. I don't know her. She may be a fine woman, but it was kind of said to us, why would she be taking pictures of the people in the audience during the sermon? What was that about? I mean, and we weren't there. We don't know if it actually took place. It's what somebody sent to us, but I mean, you got any ideas as to the why on that, or what's your suspicion? Why would you be taking pictures?
Well, it could be to see, what the attendance levels are, but if they're videoing the services, then they'd be able to review the video and, kind of, a lot of times churches use that if they don't have a sign-in sheet or a guest list, they'll use that to kind of gauge, how many people are attending. And, we've said on the show, based on feedback from other folks, that the attendance level has been down drastically, not just COVID related. So anyway, it could have been something for that. It could have been that there have been claims that they spy on other people's social media to see who they associate with. We know for a fact that members or former members of First Church have been told, if you associate with so-and-so, that pretty much you just can't be a member here. We know that for a fact. I've been told that firsthand by former members who are, let's just say, at other churches right now. So it could have been something with that. I don't know. Mute, unmute.
Pat Barnes says this feels like gossip. The Simple Church member. I mean, you know what? We acknowledge that we don't know. We weren't there, but we do know that a lot of former First Church folks are here and are watching. A lot of First Church people have sent us a lot of valid information. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe somebody that was there will send us some information. I can tell you that since we've been live this past Sunday, I have pictures of the audience at First Church and the attendance. And I can tell you that it's not gossip, that it was not a lot of people. I don't have that ready to share or put up there, but that's not gossip.
Right.
Not at all.
Well, and let's just run the math. There's 161 signatures supposedly on this document. And let's say even some of them are not current members of First Church, and maybe even some of them are not even past members of First Church. One or two or three people doing this is one thing. And again, that's a great comment, Pat, but 161 is a whole different level. And if the current attendance levels are what we've seen in pictures and what current members who are even on the side of Pastor Brad are pointing out at 500 to 600 people, this is a sizable percentage. The math doesn't lie. And so some of it is gossip, but these are real documents from real current members. It is a fact that the youth ministry, the entire youth ministry, walked out of the church just, 2 or 3 weeks ago? I don't think they did that just on some gossip.
And if it's gossip, why don't anyone that's on our show talk about the finances?
Right. Where are the numbers, Brad?
Where are the numbers? People say that you have to sign an NDA to even be able to see the numbers of the church. If that's gossip and that's not accurate, then by all means, anyone tell us about the numbers.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Whitney corrected me. She said children's ministry, not the youth ministry. Thank you very much, Whitney, for correcting me on that. Of course, you are correct. And Michael Ferris put a comment out there, so I'm not really sure. Michael says, I was there, you're wrong. So, Michael, what are you referring to? And go ahead and help us correct the record if necessary. But I will also say this, that there is no doubt we've shown you the videos and we've provided evidence of how involved First Church on an administrative level has been directly in politics. And we just don't, Duke and I are both of about, very close to the same opinion that that's just not correct. That's just not the way things should be. And again, that's the tie-in to us. Otherwise, if it was some personal issue with Brad or some other church leader or whatever, that's on the church's business. But it involves public tax dollars, by the way. Okay. Carrie John Frazier, let's put this out here. All right. Carrie John Frazier says entire youth did not walk out. All right, so we'll make sure that we're clear on that. Now, was it the entire children's ministry or some or most, for those of you that were attending? Let's see. Allison Alden says, I know several, including me, aren't going to service but attending Connection Group, and a lot of people are doing that as well. Of course, some folks at the church are a little, let's say, apprehensive about connection groups somewhat. Let's see. Carrie John Frazier says he did not get a bonus for his anniversary. All right. So again, we're not trying to necessarily do completely objective stuff, but we want to be as fair and balanced as we can in these sort of situations. Again, hence the reason that we posted the missing message. And I'm going down a couple more comments. Duke, hit unmute anytime you're ready and cut in.
And we're putting this out here for people to correct the record, so folks send us stuff. And like we say every show, or have said every show, we don't go there. We weren't there. We don't know, but this is what's being said. This is what people are saying. Here is what we're told. Correct us. Let the light shine on it.
Yeah, and Whitney Skates comes back and says, entire children's ministry team. Carrie says, no youth ministry didn't walk out, but they have been asked to step down or left over the past 3 years. A lot of concerns, problems in the last 3 years in student ministry. And somebody had a number just a second ago, so let me see if I can find that. Somebody had a number. Where was it? Duke, go ahead and cut in for a minute. I'm trying to scan through comments here.
Yeah, and I sent you the images that someone sent me and said that were of this past Sunday. I sent them to you.
Okay, let me get that shared out here. So let me close this out of the way.
And which the first one, I didn't think much of it. The first one, was supposedly before a few minutes before church started. People are in Sunday school normally. People leave Sunday school and they go straight. But then during the service, that was supposedly the image during the service.
Mm-hmm. Let me get the other one. I'll share it out. And let's see. For Carrie John Frazier says you may need to worry about your church. I'm sure would not be approved to try to destroy a church. So again, as we have said pretty much every show, as well as at the beginning of this show, we are not trying to destroy a church at all. And I honestly don't think that some of the other folks are, and there's biblical precedent for church leaders who are, let's just say, straying from the ways that they should, absolutely should be called to task. So it's not trying to destroy a church. It's trying to point out some things that are going on with individuals within the church, which can help, if it's not corrected, could help to actually destroy the church. There's another picture there. So go ahead, Dave.
I don't know if well, yep, I would say so. I don't know if Carrie John Frazier is specifically pointing to us, but obviously she's drawn in Gavin. I would imagine she's trying to throw a rock at Gavin Spinney and Halton Baptist out there. You know, I don't know if that's what maybe she'll clarify, and maybe she could clarify about the finances and for all the folks that, you know, have had valid questions regarding the finances. Maybe she can enlighten everyone to those questions and resolve those, because apparently a lot of people have those questions, and maybe she doesn't think those are valid questions for people to know.
Maybe not. Tracy Long Davis says, in case everyone doesn't know, Carrie and John currently on the praise team under Eddie, the finance worship pastor. So maybe they could ask Eddie, hey, can we get a copy of the numbers? And do they have to sign an NDA or not? Maybe y'all can ask that.
And settle all this once and for all.
Yeah, and to be fair, according to Carrie, John Frazier, 640 in attendance, not counting children and youth. So if it was 640 in attendance, was that 640 at the location, or was that including connect groups or whatever? But either way, that's a sizable attendance. I can tell you, it's down from what they were.
It's down a lot from what they were, but I mean, I guess that doesn't matter. I guess what matters is what your philosophical or what your ideology is regarding religion. I mean, are we getting into I mean, you and I touched on it the last show a little bit. We didn't go all the way there, but we kind of got bumped up against the edges on this Southern Baptist Convention, you know, the conservative movement, politics. I mean,
Right.
maybe we need to go further down that road. Maybe First Church is not a church, but only for a specific ideology. Maybe you think that you know, church and being a Baptist and should, you know, be all about politics. I don't know. Maybe
So, and it's kind of interesting. I was trying to find. Here we go. Let me go back over to here for a second. So, the SBC Pantologist on Twitter mentions the Baptist Network several times, and if I remember correctly, Duke, isn't that the organization that Brad and another pastor or some other pastors had formed fairly recently?
You know, I think so, but I guess I am not as up on that as I should be.
Okay, so we need to dig into some more of that. And I want to put another comment out here. Let me find Kathy just a second. I want to try to be relatively fair here. Let me share this one first. Karen Breedlove. These church folks have drama. Karen, having worked with, let's just say, several churches in the last 20 years, mainly with technical stuff and all that, you have no idea how much drama goes on at a lot of churches. Let's see here. Let me find this. Give me just a second here. I'm having to roll through all these comments. Pat Barnes, thank you very much for watching. Peach Crown has taken its toll. I wish I had Peach Crown, but I'm just still on sweet tea right now. Okay. And Duke, feel free to cut in any second. I'm trying to find this comment that I kind of got lost in my comments.
Well, Grady Davis made a comment. He says, we used to have hundreds of people we loved still going to First Bossier. We still have dozens there, and we won't stop until we know they are out of harm's way. Jesus flipped tables in the temple because wrong was happening. He didn't leave silent.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Here's the one from Kathy Stewart. I think this is the one I was looking for. It says, the picture you're showing, or that we were showing a few minutes ago, was before church even started on this past Sunday morning. So again, we want to be relatively fair on the show, because again, we don't attend First Church. And so we want to make sure that as this commentary is coming in, that we share that out.
Yeah, and we said earlier that, you know, there was one of the images that was before church started and one was during the service. I mean, and, you know, the one image that was during the service, I mean, I can see it, and, you know, there's more empty seats than
Right.
there are full seats.
And look, you know, as everybody knows, COVID has church attendance down quite a bit. And look, let's be frank, folks. because I've studied the numbers a lot, the church attendance is down overall and has been in a decline for many years. So it's not unusual to see some decline, without a doubt. The only one, there are some larger churches and congregations that are still in growth, but overall church in the attendance in the U.S. and, well, mostly globally in the Christian faith is down quite a bit. Okay. I'm trying to roll through these comments, Duke. So what else do we need to talk about? Other than, again, we haven't had anybody confirm or deny whatever, the 161 signatures. And so if anybody knows how many of those may have been non-First Church members, share it out to us. We'll be glad to put that on the show or do a corrective post later on Facebook as well.
Yeah, it would seem this thing is shaped up into two camps. You know, one that says that there's not a problem, and a camp that says that there is a problem. And the camp that says that there is a problem says that we want to see the numbers, but they can't see the numbers. And if they see the numbers, they can't talk about the numbers.
Right.
And that, you know, attendance is in decline, and in decline in a big way.
Right.
You know, the other camp says, I'm guessing by what they're saying in the comments, that there's not a problem, that attendance is not in decline.
Yeah, it could go either way. Without seeing the math doesn't lie, and without seeing that, we're dependent on what Brad said in the missing message. He said the church is, and I quote, debt-free.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. We'll see. Well, I
All
think
right.
that about wraps it up for tonight, huh?
I think so, and so we're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks, especially we're at an hour and 26 minutes. We appreciate everybody watching. A couple of housekeeping things as people are going to start signing off. If you need to email us, bossierwatch@gmail.com. If it's something that needs to be completely anonymous, make your own Proton Mail account, no identifying information. Email us at bossierwatch@protonmail.com. I'm going to be upgrading our website some more, bossierwatch.org. There is a donations link there if you want to donate us a little bit of coffee money. We appreciate everybody that's donated so far. It does help out. Information requests are not always free from government entities, and the software and all that's not. But Duke and I enjoy it, so we're going to do it whether anybody donates to us or not. It's our citizen journalism with a spin. So I would like to thank everybody for watching, and Duke, of course, as usual, thanks for your hard work, because you did most of the legwork again on the notes tonight, so that worked out pretty good.
We help each other out, especially considering my day started out underneath a Peterbilt till after lunch till around 1 o'clock.
Right.
And then I rushed to town to answer the phones in a mortgage company. How does that go?
Yeah, from one extreme to the other.
I'm telling you, to a show talking about Bossier politics. Amazing.
Yeah, and Grady, we'll end up going fishing one day. Reach out to me one day if I'm headed to Caddo or something, don't have a fishing partner. And I'd also like to say this: we've had several people now reach out to us about sponsoring the show. We are putting some of that information together. Again, we're doing this pretty much as a hobby and to get the information out there, but it does take a little bit of money to make this happen. So we're going to come out with some information on that. I got to research Facebook's policies and YouTube's policies and all that kind of good stuff. So we'll publish some of that, as we
Now,
move on.
are we gonna do a Louisiana watch on Thursday? Because most people don't realize, they kind of wonder probably, what are you guys talking about? You do Bossier Watch, Louisiana Watch. What's all that about?
Yeah, let me just flip the screen real quick. So I would also, suggest everybody go to Facebook and search for Louisiana Watch. You'll see the colors will look like this. See, I magically changed the screen over. And this is our alter ego, where typically we talk about on Thursday evenings, not every Thursday, a few Thursdays a month, where we talk about more regional and statewide stuff. We also cross-post the Bossier Watch videos there too, so you can see them at either place. So hey, go over there and like and follow Louisiana Watch on Facebook. And don't forget, go to YouTube and look for Bossier Watching, look for Louisiana Watch 2. Subscribe to those YouTube channels. That way, if Facebook is down for some reason, you've got an alternate source to see the videos and comment. Comments make this so much better, folks.
And we've got some interesting topics coming up here in the next few shows. I mean, granted, anything that comes up in Bossier politics, we're going to put out there about Bossier. But, you know, there's a lot of things going on in Louisiana. And I don't know, I hate to say that we kind of break it down into a regular Joe type format or a palatable format. I don't know, maybe those watching can say, hey, yeah, you articulate it in a way that sounds, you know, down to earth to us. That's what we try to do. But we've got John Kay with the Pelican Institute next week going to come on Bossier Watch, and he's going to talk about the constitutional amendments that are going to be on your ballot at the next election. And because man, I mean, everybody just doesn't want to read all that detail, and you want somebody that you can trust to just sum it up for you, what it means and what it's going to be about. Well, John Kay is the guy. He knows these things inside and out. He studies them, and he's going to kind of, you know, give us the insight on that. You know, we never got around to talking about Kyle Ardoin, and a lot of people are interested in our elections in Louisiana. Are we going to have safe, secure elections? Where are we heading on that? Probably what Louisiana does here coming up in the near future is going to probably set the stage for the states across the country. They'll be watching us. And last week, Rex, you know it, at the Republican Women of Bossier, I got to ask Kyle Ardoin a question, and it actually, I got the question from something pertaining to the Arizona audit and relating to a representative from out in Arizona that was at the forefront in the Arizona audit. And it was something in regards to what he said about Kyle Ardoin and the Secretary of State's Association and some action they took.
Yeah.
We're going to dive off into that. So
there's no shortage of things to talk about, whether it's Bossier or Louisiana or nationwide stuff. And look, folks, we encourage you to keep watching because we don't always talk about church drama. As a matter of fact, that's, you know, usually not on our radar very much. Again, the tie-in here is the church's members and administration are very politically active, including having the current mayor on the stage and one of the city councilmen, among other things over the years. But anyway, so we encourage you to watch some of this stuff. Yeah, like Duke said, it'll be kind of down in the weeds a little bit, but it's stuff that you need to know, and we appreciate everybody watching. John Kay is always a great guest because he is one of those guys that understands the policy real well and can articulate it real well. So yeah, that ought to be fun. Folks, y'all just stay tuned. Make sure you like and follow so you get the notifications. And again, thanks for watching, and thanks for sending information.
Thank you again. Have a good night, guys.
We're out of here, folks.